Hello, friends. Welcome to Operation Remote Resilience. My name is Kelly Campbell. I am a certified Warriors at Ease teacher, and today I will be guiding you through a 30-minute restorative yoga practice. For restorative yoga, we are going to utilize props. So I'm going to go over what I have next to me. If you do not have these same props, absolutely okay. Feel free to grab other items around your home, blankets, pillows, towels, things of that nature that you can utilize in the same way. Here I have a blanket. I've got 2 yoga blocks, an eye pillow, which is quite nice over the forehead and eyes during a final relaxation. Then I have 2 larger bolsters to help support the body. If you don't have a yoga mat, that's absolutely okay as well. You can utilize a carpeted space or even lie down a pillow, a towel, or a blanket to provide your body with some additional support. For our restorative yoga practice, it is very nourishing and grounding, allowing ourselves an opportunity to pause, connect to the breath, which can help rejuvenate our spirits, minds, and bodies. Additionally, a restorative yoga practice can help aid in decreasing stress, improving sleep, all things that I think every single one of us is more than happy to accept, right? Less stress, more sleep. Hello, sign me up. At any point during the practice, if there is a specific shape that I cue for that does not resonate with your body, always an option to opt out and move onward, or just take some time in child's pose or comfortable seated position and wait there till we move to the next shape. We are going to first begin in a comfortable seated position. Any shape that calls to you. I normally gravitate towards knees bent with legs crossed. For today's practice, I'm actually going to also incorporate in a prop and sit atop it. Feel free to do something similar or perhaps take a totally different shape. Elevation of the hips may provide some additional comfort for your body. And if you've never explored sitting atop a prop, whether that be a block, a bolster, a pillow, a towel roll, perhaps in today's practice you do that. Just to give yourself a different perspective and another opportunity of like, ooh, what do I feel? What do I notice now? From our comfortable seated position, we're going to move through some gentle breath and motion together. And then we'll take our first shape for our practice. Hands come palms down to either thighs or knee space. From our neutral spine, inhale for cow pose, pull the chest forward, gaze upward towards the ceiling. Exhale for cat, chin to chest around the spine. Inhale for cow, pull the chest forward, gaze upward towards the ceiling. Exhale for cat, chin to chest around the spine. One more time. Inhale for cow, open through the collarbones. Exhale for cat, chin to chest. Return to center. Utilize the entire body to take circles into the space above you. Doesn't matter which direction you begin in first, as we will do both. At any point along this circular motion that you're like, ooh, I could use a pause or an additional breath, feel free to take it, because we are in no rush. One more time. Switch directions. One more time. Return to center. If you did invite in a prop to sit atop, go ahead and remove it as we make our way towards seated butterfly. Soles of the feet come together, knees drop up to the sides. It's a great place for some props, both towards the lower body and then upper body. Foot placement is personal preference. You can have them as close or as far away from the body as you desire. Feel free to place props underneath the lower body, perhaps the knees, thighs, or calves. And then, if you desire, you can also incorporate in props for your upper body to rest towards. Now I've got these two larger bolsters, and I'm going to arrange them in a way that I can bring my upper body forward. And this may take a little bit of trial and error on your part of placing a prop in, seeing how that feels, adjusting it, adding to it, taking away, as it's absolutely normal. If you're like, oh, this doesn't feel right, I want to adjust something, totally okay. So I've got now my two bolsters set up in a fashion that I can drape my upper body forward. So I bring my chest and head down towards my larger bolsters, take the hands, just place them in a location that feels comfortable for yourself. Eyes can be opened or closed, your choice. And as this experience continues to unfold, explore with a sense of curiosity. What do you feel and what do you notice? Take a few more rounds of breath here. Begin to work the trunk back to an upright position. Pause here, inhale, exhale. Take out any items you may have utilized to support the upper body. Take out any items you may have utilized to support the lower body. With the help of your hands, bring both knees in towards center. Feet are flat, knees are bent. Hands come behind the body. So we take some gentle windshield wiper motion of the legs. I like some motion between shapes as to allow that continuation of curiosity of like, ooh, what do I feel and notice now that I've begun to invite in some motion? Return to center as we now set up for a supported seated fold. I'm rotating my body so you can observe a bit better. Leg placement is personal preference. You can have everything touching from the feet up to the hip space. You can have some space between it all. Now, for our restorative practice, we want our feet to land however they desire. In a more active yoga class, you may be cued to flex, point the toes, root down through the legs to the surface beneath you, really activated and engaged. For our restorative yoga practice, we want to allow the body to land however it desires. By doing so, this will allow us to peel back the layers, both on a physical level, like, oh, what do I feel and notice? Also, internally with the thoughts and the breath. Once you have those legs arranged however you desire, then, you guessed it, we are now reincorporating in our props. Your shape and propping may look totally different than mine. That does not mean your shape and practice is any less valuable. Take that with you always in every single yoga class. That sometimes you can look around the room if it's an in-person class and we see all these other bodies of like, wow, I can't do that, or I wish I could do that. Or even on a virtual platform that the individual leading is like, wow, comparing ourselves to the shapes that other bodies are able to make. Does it translate to more value or worth? So, arrange the props in a way that you can, if you'd like, bring the upper body forward and feel fully supported. Now I'm going to kind of do a combination of things, as you can see. I've got a larger bolster that has run the length of my legs. I've then placed a block on top of the bolster. And then I'm adding in a blanket on top of my block. So that gives my forehead a location to land. Then gently begin to come forward only to the point that feels best for your body. So that may be more flexion, that perhaps may be more upright. Hand placement, any location that calls to you. Eyes can be opened or closed. Continue to soften the edges. If you notice locations of tension, where you may be in a strive or achieve mentality, give yourself permission to relax a bit. Soften the jaws. Peel the tongue from the roof of the mouth. Soften the face. Take a few more rounds of breath here. Unhurried. When it feels right, begin to work your trunk back to an upright position if you had opted to fold forward. We remove our last prop first. From here, hands come behind the body. We bend the knees again, feet are flat. And invite some slow side to side motion up the legs. Another great movement and location that if you'd like to take a pause in one direction or another, just to see what you feel and notice within the body. Return to center. Begin to bring the legs behind you as we now set up for supported child's pose. Child's pose, in fact, can be a very active posture, right? We can reach through the fingers, we can root to the ground. In this version, we want to find ease and comfort. Now, child's pose. Knees can be wide or close together, even touching if you desire. Big toes can touch, be close together, or even have a bit more space. Everyone's body and anatomy is different, so take that into consideration when you set yourself up. Sometimes in observing yoga postures elsewhere, anywhere, that we can hold ourselves to that same standard of, well, to execute this shape, I have to be able to do X, Y, and Z. When in fact, that's not true at all. So honor yourself where you're at right now and what feels best for your body. Now, hips come to heels. If this feels rather uncomfortable for your body, because we will be here for an extended period of time, utilize your props to get yourself into a space that feels more comfortable. Now for myself, I'm going to utilize a blanket and roll that up. And I'm actually going to come forward, lift my feet, and I'm going to place my blanket underneath my ankles. Then return my hips to my heels and the ankles down to the blanket. For myself, this feels to provide me with more comfort because I'm not pressing nearly as much into the top of my foot as I would if the blanket wasn't there. So if you're like, ooh, I've never tried that, guess what? Take the opportunity, because you can always remove the prop if you're like, ugh, once you get into it, like it doesn't feel great, that's okay. So I've got my blanket underneath my ankles. It's another great place too, if you notice the surface beneath you is rather hard, you can double over your mat, or you can lie another blanket or towel down. That can be a great option. I'm going to, and this is just me speaking out loud, again, how every time you come to the practice, it's going to feel different in what you need. I'm going to utilize one of my larger bolsters and a block. I'm going to place the block towards the distal end, which is the furthest portion away from my body, to elevate that far end. So as you can see, by elevating that far end, it gives me a bit of an incline, right, to this bolster. So by doing so, when I come forward into child's pose, I now have a location to land my upper body towards, which for me feels very comfortable, nourishing, and grounding, which, as I stated towards the start of class, is our intention. When you're ready, begin to bring your upper body forward, either towards the earth or whatever props that you have found that may support your body in the best fashion. Arm and hand placement, again, is personal preference. You can bring them towards the top of the mat. If that extension and flexion of the arms and the shoulders just doesn't work for what you need, guess what? You can bring the arms by the sides. You can add an ample bend into the arms. You can even utilize more props and give your arms a place to land. Your preference. Eyes can be opened or closed here. Allow the sensations to unfold. And what I mean by that is when we first arrive into a shape, in any practice of yoga, certain things stand out on a physical level, in regards to our thoughts, the environment around us. And then as we stay there, you may notice changes. Perhaps more comfort and ease. Maybe more awareness towards all of the layers that encompass this specific experience and moment. Take a few more slow rounds of breath. After that last round of breath, utilize the hands as you press the upper body off of the ground or your props. Begin to remove any props you may have utilized. Then come towards tabletop. For tabletop, wrists stacked under shoulders, knees under hips. Toes can be tucked or untucked, your choice. We move through a few cat-cows together here. And before we do, we had taken seated cat-cow at the start of our practice. So perhaps explore what you feel and notice now in this tabletop version of cat-cow. From our neutral spine, inhale for cow pose, drop the belly, gaze travels up. Exhale for cat, chin to chest, round the spine. Inhale for cow, open through the collarbones. Exhale for cat. One more. Inhale for cow. Exhale for cat. Return to center. Make your way towards a seated position as we begin to move towards supported fish pose. Supported fish pose is going to be our last posture together. We're going to stay there for the longest duration of today's practice because we're going to utilize supported fish pose as both that specific posture and shape in addition to a final relaxation. So we're going to be there for a longer duration to really tap into that nourishment and ease. For supported fish pose, you can utilize bolsters and pillows and blocks to set yourself up. Sometimes a wall can be very nice for this specific shape, because then you have more confidence in knowing that your props aren't going to push away from you or come out from underneath of the body. So if you've got a wall nearby and handy, feel free to move yourself there. For supported fish pose, in my body, I'm going to utilize 2 blocks. The first one closest to myself is going to be at a lower setting, and the one furthest away from my body is going to be at a higher setting. This is to allow myself to place a bolster on these 2 blocks, which will give me a reclined setup. Feel free to play with the distance of your blocks if that is what you are going to utilize. Right. So I've got, as you can see, one of my larger bolsters with 2 blocks supporting it. I'm going to make sure I've got everything else within arm's reach, because it's a real buzzkill when you get yourself set up in a really great position and shape to move into more relaxation and more rest. And the one thing that you really want is just out of arm's reach. So make sure you've got everything handy nearby. Once you have this upper body portion set up, bring your low spine directly against that prop. You can even bring hands to the prop just to secure it. Begin to recline backwards. So you can see I've got my other bolster readily available, because I'm going to place that directly underneath my knees, as a slight bend in the lower body can provide some additional support to the spine. Bring the head back. If you have a blanket available, you may enjoy tucking yourself in for this last portion of practice. And if you have an eye pillow or perhaps even a washcloth or a small towel, you can place that over the forehead and eyes. Because even with our eyes closed, dependent upon the space that you are in, you can still see some light and some shadows working their way in. Always an option to keep the eyes open if that feels best for your needs. Then bring awareness to the breath. Very often in breath, there is focus on rise and fall of the belly and chest, which that is a component of it. But when you breathe and your lungs inflate and the diaphragm is activated, we actually have expansion in all directions. So as the air travels in and out of your body, see if you can feel that outward expansion from the side body, the back body, in addition to the front body. You feel like, ooh, that's a layer of challenge Then you can utilize the hands. Place them towards the sides of your body, along the rib cage. And as you inhale the air, you feel the movement of the hands as they travel outward, away from each other. And as the air leaves the body on an exhalation, can you feel the hands working inward towards each other? Soften the jaws. Feel the tongue from the roof of the mouth. And relax the face. You had brought your hands to the rib cage for some additional connection to the breath. Feel free to remove them. Place them towards the sides of the body or any location that feels comfortable. We're going to spend the next few moments in silence. We continue to connect to feelings of rest and nourishment, calm and ease. Feel free to stay here if you desire to continue with your final relaxation. For those who are ready to conclude the practice, begin to invite some movement back into the body. Wiggle the fingers and toes. Take wrist and ankle circles. Slowly nod the head no from side to side. Open the eyes if you had opted to close them as we reacclimate to our space around us. You included in a blanket, you can gently remove that. From here, we're going to roll towards our right or left side, doesn't matter which direction. Utilize the hands, roll towards the side, bend in the knees still, place both hands to the earth, then press yourself into an upright position and begin to come to a comfortable seat. Bring hands to heart center, palms to touch as we take 3 deep cleansing breaths together. Inhale, sweep it up. Open mouth, exhale, hands to heart center. 2 more. Inhale, sweep it up. Open mouth, exhale, hands to heart center. 1 more time. Deepest breath of the practice. Inhale, take it all in. Open mouth, exhale, let it all go. It has been my pleasure guiding you through practice, my friends. Again, my name is Kelly Campbell. Thank you for joining me for this installment of Operation Remote Resilience. in our 30-minute restorative yoga practice. If you feel compelled, please feel free to subscribe to the Warriors at Ease YouTube channel. That way you can stay up to date on all the videos and offerings going on. Additionally, consider donating to Warriors at Ease. It is through donations from individuals like yourself that allow us to continue to offer these services and trainings to yoga teachers and individuals around the world. Thank you again for joining me, my friends, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great rest of the day.